I've got a seriously exciting pro bike for you here. This is the brand new Cannondale Supersix Evo of EF Education First, and this one belongs to the Colombian Rigoberto Uran. And this is the brand new model in the new team colours, replacing the previous Supersix. The Supersix has now gone aero. But before I go into all the cool details, and there's lots of them on this bike, be sure to subscribe to GCN if you haven't already, and please click the little bell icon, as it'll give you a notification every time we upload a video. I'm currently filming this video next to Brussels Airport, directly under the flight path, it would appear. So if you hear any aeroplanes, that's probably why. Now, I was a big fan of the old Supersix. I loved the traditional shape of it with the flat sort of top tube and the traditional lines and the tall seat stays. And that's kind of, well, all gone. It's gone aero. So you've got low seat stays, a D-shaped seat post and aero tube shapes throughout. And in doing so, Cannondale reckons that there's been a considerable aero saving and that the new bike is considerably more aerodynamic than the old one. Sort of a halfway house between a full-on aero bike and the previous model. So that's cool to see. And I also like the new paint job with the blue on it as well. I think it's pretty smart. Interestingly, Rigo has opted for rim brakes. Now, this is interesting because the bike's offered in both disc brakes and rim brakes, and the team gave all the riders the choice. I asked the mechanics, and so consequently, I think there's 5 riders running disc brakes and 3 riders have chosen rim brakes. The new Supersix has a lot of integration built into it to make it more aerodynamic, but Rigoberto Uran has opted for a fairly traditional cockpit, so there is an option to have a really integrated aero one-piece bar and stem, and through that all the cables can route. But Rigo prefers a traditional round bar, and it's interesting this because a lot of pro riders do still prefer a standard round handlebar and stem. Now, because he's got that, you've got some cables running differently. So they're running through a hole in the stem here at the top tube and then through the bar. But it's still a very neat job, and the mechanics have done a great thing of wrapping this tape round to hold the Di2 cable and the brake cable together. And that's where this little plastic feature comes in too. So through here is actually a port where you can route cables internally if it's the disc brake fork. So then the hydraulic lines actually go through here and come out somewhere down here. But again, because Rigo's using the rim brake model, this bit becomes redundant and it's kind of like an aero feature. Although he doesn't have an aerodynamic handlebar, Rigoberto Uran is someone who clearly cares about aerodynamics because he appears to be running a very narrow handlebar. That, to me, looks like it might be a 38. But it's coming out 37.5, 38. So yeah, very narrow. I mean, a couple of years ago, most of the pros were still using 42 centimetre bars, but now we're definitely seeing a trend towards narrower bars, and that's because you can get into a narrower position and be more aerodynamic. Some people do think there is a detrimental impact to handling, but clearly Rigo isn't one of them. In addition to the FSA round bar, he's got an FSA stem, and I've measured that. That's 120 millimetres long, and then he's got his Garmin head unit out front here as well. EF Education First is sponsored by Vision, so the wheels are Vision Metron tubulars, and there's a range of depths available to the riders depending on the kind of stage that they're riding. And onto those, they've got Vittoria Corsa G tubular tyres, 26 millimetres front and rear, and on the verniers, they're coming out at 26 millimetres bang on as well. EF aren't sponsored by Shimano, but they are using some Shimano components on the bike. So they've got Dura Ace Di2 shifters, Dura Ace pedals, and Dura Ace front and rear derailleurs. Interestingly, the cassette on the back appears to be an Ultegra cassette. So that's a 3011 that he's gone for there. And the chain rings are from FSA. And interestingly, they're 5342 rather than the traditional 5339. And I suspect the reason for that is because the opening stages of the Tour de France, well, they're pretty flat sprinter stages. So you can expect quite a lot of the riders to be using that bigger inner chainring. Now, because EF aren't sponsored by Shimano, it frees them up to use some components that they ordinarily wouldn't be able to. So in addition to the FSA chainrings, we've got the FSA Powerbox Powermeter and Cannondale's proprietary SI SL2 cranks, which are said to be very light indeed and help contribute to the bike's overall low weight. On the new Supersix, the brakes are now direct mount on the rim brake model rather than single mount, which they were before, so that's good to see. You get a bit more purchased from a direct mount brake. It's got 2 mounting points. There's also Rigoberto Uran's little name badge just here with his little Colombian flag, quite a subtle detail that just lets you know whose bike it is. And the saddle of choice is a Prologo 03. And it's got carbon rails, which are very nice, and this kind of textured surface on the top, which helps keep the rider's posterior in place. Looking on the frame, we've got Tax carbon cages and Tax bottles. And then this is really cool. I've not seen this before. So this is where the junction box now sits on the new Evo. So it's out of the way. It used to hang here, but now it sits neatly in the frame. And the cover that covers it, this is cool, is a little carbon fiber plate that keeps it nice and neat in the frame. I like that. Now I'm just going to do some quick measurements for you. So the cranks are 170 millimeters long. The saddle height that Rigo is running is 71 centimeters from center of saddle to the center of the bottom bracket. And from the tip of the saddle to the center of the bars, 54 centimeters of reach there. It's pretty interesting. I'm not sure of the exact frame size on this model. It's either a 52 or a 54. Maybe you can let me know at home. Either way, I think we should weigh the bike. I really want to weigh this bike more than many other bikes because the Supersix is a bike that's renowned for low weight. So let's see what the new one comes in at in a full race build. Ooh, 6.92. I think the mechanics have got that just perfect for when it's weighed by the UCI. Normally, they make them up so that they get up just above 6.8, so there's a bit of leeway in case the UCI scales are off. But that's with the Garmin, the pedals, the bottle cages, and the number mount. So, bang on the money. I hope you've enjoyed this look at Rigo's bike. I'm a big fan of this. I did like the traditional shape of the old one, but the new one does look really cool as well. And I do like this modern climbing bike shape with the drop stays. I'm a fan, I have to say. So let us know what you think in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, then please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to GCN. And if you'd like to get your hands, and I don't know why you possibly wouldn't, on one of these awesome GCN France themed t-shirts, they're a bit Kraftwerk, aren't they? Well, we've got them in the GCN shop, so head over there. And to watch more pro bikes, you can click down here.